Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in. Wanted to start off the interior walk around, which is some nice adventure shots here. This is Box Canyon in the East Phoenix area, and the Verde River at the end of Bloody Basin Road, one of my favorite day adventures here. Nothing like driving across the river, getting to actually use that snorkel. Alrighty, moving right into things here. Here comes a clue now. Our loving travel cat, Wild Siamese here. She goes everywhere with us. Camping, off-roading, you name it. She just wants to be outside as much as she can. And she happens to actually be a very loving cat, so she doesn't ever travel too far away. Maybe a 50-60 foot radius around us. So we can freely let her go without having to worry about her, as long as, of course, there's no large animals that are going to come out of nowhere to try to get her, but we don't ever worry about her getting eaten. You know, the threat's there. We don't ever worry about her running off or getting hurt somewhere. She always stays nearby, and that's probably after 25, 30 times taking her out camping with us, sometimes for 4 or 5 days. So starting off with the interior of the 4runner here in this beautiful scenery with Kitty there in the grass. We live at the base of the mountain here. It's a beautiful hillside. Pretty deserty at the bottom. The top of the mountain here, it is beautiful and green. We've had a good amount of rain, so. But anyhow, going on to the interior here, figured that we just kind of start from the top down, looking at all the little bits that I've added in to make everything from off-roading to road tripping easier. Starting off with the kick-ass control panel. This has been a really fun thing from the brand Kick-Ass. You can have up to 8 different switches on it, running 60 amps. It's the same thing as the aux beam, just off-branded. I like the brand Kick-Ass, it's pretty cool. And surrounding it, this little bezel here is custom 3D printed to hold specifically these switch panels here. Gets rid of the old garage door opener, and basically allows you to have that awesome cockpit pilot style lighting system right above you. And the light from the glow from the LED actually has a nice little mood light. Gotta have your Garmin road GPS. Using Google Maps just is frustrating, especially trying to route places when you have no service. So, but I got my phone there anyways for music and or auxiliary maps or just doing some searching on the road. It's nice to not take away your GPS. I got a scan gauge mount with a RAM mount drilled into the holder bracket for it. That just allows me to see all my other little digital computer bits here without having to worry about gauges, especially the transmission fluid temp, which doesn't have a gauge and overheats very easily with big tires and big and long steep hills. But voltage, intake temps, water temps, my actual cooling gauge doesn't work anymore, so having that digital gauge is life-saving. Got my lockers here set up, quick and simple. The 4runner's not really pretty, as you can see here. I don't care though, because it's just very useful. Everything's been so useful for it, but I'm gonna put another switch there. Was something glued. Got the multimatic switch to lock in your 4-wheel drive. It's a bit of a ironic misnomer. You see that 4WD 4-wheel drive button, really just puts you in glorified all-wheel drive for the 01 and 02. I think maybe 01 or maybe 2000, but 01, 02 had multimatic. Got the Scarab magnetic phone mount here. 3D printed block, fits in your old clock mount. Don't get this brand that just keeps cracking and compressing in the heat, especially. It doesn't work well with plastic. There's like these billet ones now that are much better, including billet. You can see the Molly panel there from Tech Customs. Bought that from one of the Toyota Toyota websites, and it's been great for just mounting the RAM mount things. So I can have my phone as well. You know, with the RAM Magna mount, I could have chose a different brand. I just like RAM stuff, and so nice to have a place to mount my radios, my phone, girlfriend's phone, and anything else that I really want to put on it. I guess you're just at the mercy of the strength of the dash bezel, which actually is cracking a little bit, but it's already broken ahead of time. Basic radio, it's from Alpine. It's really old and I don't really care, but I got a ham radio from Baofeng and a Midland radio. GMRS radio. It's like the 575 MTX. It's their like high-powered 50-watt radio, and then an 8-watt Baofeng handheld ham radio, and I got antennas routed to the roof of the rooftop tent, on top of the roof, I should say, on the rooftop tent. So having actual usability of that. The cup holder situation is a nightmare in these vehicles. So long road trips, camping, whatever, driving down the road, just as annoying not having room for your stuff. And the center console always gets hot in the summer, and it's kind of a lose-lose where it's too cold in the winter and too hot in the summer. So having this little 3D printed cup holder mount has been awesome. I found it on Etsy, and there's actually a few different companies that make them, but it has the strength to hold a heavy insulated bottle like my thermos, and also because it's not mounted right over the top of the transmission, things stay cool, especially since it's plastic and it doesn't hold heat anyways. Just hanging off the side there, it keeps your bottles and stuff nice and cool. Going on and continuing here, you can see my pouches that I have with all my important gear. Got your tools, right? Got your weapons, got your tools, got your protection, everything that you need there. Got your tire gauge, Leatherman, flashlight, and of course, most importantly, is the fire extinguisher. Being able to just air down your tires, zip that open, step out, 5 minutes later, you're right back in the car, and you never lose your tire gauge. I got these Molly panels from Victory 4x4, and the bags are just from Amazon, nothing too crazy, but Victory 4x4 makes the inboard, outboard Molly panels there for the front, they've been really handy. Got the military style webbing there for the handle. I had it on the steering wheel all the way around, but it just got really nasty, so I'm probably gonna do all the grab handles instead. All right, for the back here, the seats are almost always folded up for gear, but we actually do have a little bit of a platform here. Got this first aid kit also off Amazon. It's just nice to just have anything when it comes to simple trail type of injuries, nothing too crazy, of course. We have the seat removed just to have extra storage up front there, where we normally have the seat be folded up and take that space. But we have the back of the seat there to fold it up to make a makeshift emergency seat. You can still sit semi-comfortably, but behind all that is all the other gear between rigging and recovery gear. You got the taller jack, which is it's like a screw jack style. It's kind of like a handyman jack, but a little better in my opinion. Blankets, sleeping bags, and a really convenient to fold down platform here, where for some reason, if you needed to have tall gear or boxes or something stored up in the middle here, you could do that, and then when it comes time to sleep, just go ahead and fold it right on out. This was designed originally without the cooler slide in mind. I just wasn't thinking about that, and I just need to modify it to make it lay down. It's just the actual rails for the slider that's interfering. But just accordion, flips right on out. I have my seat reclined a little bit too much right now, so not clearing the first aid kit too easy, but that's not a big deal. Not even supposed to be there. All right, it fits out perfect, and the seat's still usable. That's what I love about it so much. As well as the fact that it has enough strength, at least for somebody that's 160, 170 pounds, to sleep with their upper half of their body being a little bit further to the front. But it's got the strength, even though there's a few hinges here, and you get that extra storage, whether it be water tank or maybe just your shoes going right underneath there. And upper body going up front, where you got the hatch release and the window switch for venting, and then you could creep into the cooler there if you needed to get anything in the night. But basically this platform is held up, rattling around and being used, having at least 80-90 pounds just on this portion that folds out many times. Got the net up top. It's great for just throwing hoodies, socks, spare gloves. Got a beanie, it's too hot now because it's midday, just throw it up there, evening, pull it right back out, you don't have to dig out of your clothes, it's awesome. But the platform overall has been used pretty well over the last 3 years, and even this net's been up in here for at least a couple years now. It's just screwed directly to the trim in the back. I do want to have a better mounting solution with some rear window Molly panels, but so I can tighten things a little bit more, because it is pulling the panels out a little bit, but I don't care. The 4runner was bought and designated to be beaten down. All the interior damage you see was like this when I bought it. I bought it without really wanting to worry about damage and stuff like that, so in terms of cosmetic damage. But anyway, we're gonna move on to the rear end of the vehicle here. You can kind of just get an idea of the space. A normal person that's 5'9", 5'10", 160, 170 pounds can fit in here quite easily. Everything you need, and the cooler is actually decently quiet when it's running. I love this little strap auxiliary container setup. You just strap it to your spare tire, and I put my propane tank there, spare gas, whatever else I want, and then just take it right off, just a ratchet strap. So this is the rear end of the overland, I guess you could just say camp kitchen setup, base camp area here. Just popping the hatch, dropping out your sliders or your drawers, and getting whatever materials and supplies you have. Usually we'd have all our cooking gear just stacked in the back. I do want to make a video designated on what we pack and how we pack it, and more importantly organize it, because I get a little OCD about organizational things and practicality of how put away certain things are in terms of your overall use for it and whatnot. And so looking up, you can see my LED strip. I got this for like $10 on Amazon years ago, and it's just tied right into the rear window switch power, which is actually the electric lock power there, just sharing the same wiring. You just plug it in, unplug it. I leave it unplugged just because every time you lock the vehicle, it will power it back up in the back here. So just unplug, pop it in, and then I get a remote actually that will change the color and brightness, and it has an on-off switch too. So we can just leave it popped open continuously, and I don't have to stand up. When it comes to solo camping with small 4runners such as these, having these extra options here have been amazing when it comes to just being comfortable, but more specifically getting your ass out of the car. The red switch is a latch and the black switch is the window switch. Now in the first gen 4runners there was a rear window switch, which was designed to just let people to get out of the rear of the vehicle because of just the specific type of old truck platform. And then I got this latch here to help let me out as well. So I actually got the switch there from a second gen, kind of keeping in the Toyota family. Can roll down the window and either open the latch from the outside, which is personally what I would do in the future if I did not have the red latch first. But the red latch system is a custom thing from an overlander guy named Luke Hickson, and it's called the Let Me Out mod. And then the window switch is one of many things that many guys on the forums have done. I personally wouldn't mount the switch in the hatch, but it was the simplest way to do it, but it barely fits. It's bulging out because of the lack of clearances, and it makes the hatch a little tight too. But yeah, just a little bit of advice. I would mount it in the side of the panels for the window switch specifically, but at the same time, I rarely ever camp out of it. If I was to have to live out of my car, you know, for some crazy immediate reason, then, you know, I would be comfortable using this here. And the cooler here is from a company called Set Power, one of the other off-brand ones, China brand, 100%. And it's been doing great. I'm really a fan of just like not spending money needlessly, so you can have it for other greater things in life. Personally, spending money on car stuff isn't the wisest, if you know what I mean. You don't get it ever back, and this and that. So buy as cheap as you can if it works, you know. Like the Ironman 4x4 slider, which has this like 65-degree hydraulic tilt to it. One of the few brands that actually has this option, and this brand specifically was like $300 to $400 cheaper. It was insane to see how much money cooler slides cost. It's ridiculous. And this is, you know, dust every day with a 95-pound cooler strapped to it, hauling ass down the dunes in Glamis, or, you know, some of the whoops that you'd find in King and the Hammers. It's just been great. Just screwed with wood screws right down to the platform. Got my little hidden compartment here, where you would normally find the hidden or the stored jack for changing a tire here. And so you can see I have it cut away, and I have a Jackery 300 stashed in there with a 298 watt-hour battery limit. And that's enough to keep the cooler powered when it's 85 degrees out for maybe about just it really depends how many times we're opening it, to be honest, and the overall setting of it. But we leave it around 40. We don't open it too often, and it usually lasts around 24 hours in about 85, 90 degrees. But here we can see the multi-plug that I have from the same dude that 3D printed the center cockpit holder for the 8-gang switch panel. Created this little multi plug-in setup where you got 3 USBs, 2 USB-Cs, 1 USB-A. The USB-Cs, you have the PD charging capability, and of course a cigarette lighter. So I'm not just using the entire outlet there to charge the Jackery, I still have room for USBs with a secondary switch there. I can just go ahead and flick the switch and I don't have to worry about it draining my battery. I do have that wire though hot all the time, right off the fuse box. So I get the manual switch in the back. But my other drawers, utilitarian stuff, everything from bungee cords to spare propane, obviously, for the grill. Gotta have your air pump and your air hoses, your 4 hoses, just to save time, because doing this stuff really does take sometimes all day long. All this stuff was just sometimes leftover plywood or the cheap stuff I could buy at Home Depot. Built it all together about 3 years ago now. No sliders on the drawer, just been sliding along the carpet with no plastic or fiberglass or rails, just slide on the carpet. It's about 65 pounds. There's a little bit of an effort to get it moving, but it's whatever. It's not that bad. And I have nothing to fail because of it. I can pull the drawer right out and save so much weight. I also wanted to just let you guys check out a little bit more of this board here. It's not a cutting board, it's mostly a removable table. And it's been a great sign for our camp. We just put this up and it just kind of really shows, we really dig this psychedelic stuff. My girlfriend painted this for me, and this is supposed to be like our Sedona, psychedelic, Arizona, Lake Powell trip. A little bit of a combination of all Arizona there in one painting. Keeping it simple with the carabiner from the, Walmart checkout. I've had that for years also. Now when it comes to the kitchen setup, which you can see looks a little different and obviously manufactured, this was a DIY kit that I bought off Amazon as well. And this was a weird one because it went on for sale. I found it miraculously when it was like a new product, and then it sold out for like 2 weeks, and I checked every day wanting to buy this because it was $350 versus the next comparable $750+ version, although it was metal from Overland Vehicle Supply. But the wood was lighter and it was a win-win in my book, just because cheaper, lighter, and wood is durable and obviously easy to repair the metal. So you can see the sliders, you got your built-in little sink here that drops down, and you can see a drawer that obviously would allow you to destroy your grill. Now, the entire slide-out thing is basically a little mobile kitchen setup here. It was so great to find this online and not have to custom make it and also spend a fortune. And so you can see with my little sink setup here that I have the Dometic wireless battery-powered water pump here. And this thing has just been actually one of the greatest little additions to just making things simple and fun for when it comes to cooking and cleaning. Being able to clean up after cooking, even washing your hands after a day off-roading is monumental. Being comfortable, washing your face off, washing your hands off, washing your feet off, especially if you're wearing sandals all day. This thing was actually somewhat spendy compared to everything else I'd normally buy. It's like $95 for this little guy here on REI, and maybe $85. And the charge lasts for like 200 liters or something like that. So I basically charge it once every few months. It's been great. And I have a little water hose that I connect with a quick disconnect right underneath my battery container here and my tarp and my spare Ziploc. So I got this water hose set up that I basically made out of a bunch of spare parts from this website that I found, which has everything you can imagine in terms of plastic connectors and plastic pieces. It's pretty cool. It's like US Plastics, and you can make your own setups. Have a 10-gallon slim water tank that fits up front, lasts for days. Show a picture of that in place. It's just out at the moment. And the water tank is so slim, it has baffles in it and is upright, so it doesn't take too much space, and it also doesn't have too much high center of gravity, and it's just been a great addition, having so much extra water for showers and washing hands using the sink. And if you don't need to use the sink, or you don't need to collect your water for any reason, you could just wash your hands right onto the ground, assuming you're not using soap or maybe something biodegradable. But basically this is just a little pop-up sink. It collapses itself together while you have the stove in place, so everything can just lock into place there. But I just keep the wipes and the extra bowl in there at all times, just because you never know, especially bringing the cat along. She may need a thing or two. We always bring food and water for her. But I will be honest, this thing isn't like high quality, doesn't fit straight. You can see the gaps here, but it's been working, and that's with essentially a lot of vibrations, a lot of dust and dirt and debris going on in this thing. Back at the house, I have the water tank in the back seat to show you guys a bit more of what I mean here. 10 gallons of water for 2 people will last us around 4 to 5 days, plus 3 gallons of drinking water, 3 to 4 gallons of drinking water. That goes by a bit quicker, honestly. 10 gallons is more than enough. Now, this is a 10-gallon tank from Ironman 4x4. You can see there's a couple baffles in it here. For dimensions, it goes down a little bit below where the hose hooks up here. About 30 inches tall, basically about 3 inches wide or so. 2 3/4 inches wide. And it goes almost all the way to the other side here. You do get a little bit extra space here. And it's about 44 inches wide here. Gonna give you guys a little bit more of a perspective here. Alrighty, folding this up, normal storage mode. This hose goes to the Dometic water pump for the kitchen sink setup, and that just connects here, and of course has its own valve. And then there is its own secondary hose here where we can just dump water right on out using the water pressure from the 10-gallon tank to clean up feet, hands, get a little bit of water, or refill our rinse kit here. This is like 2.5 or 3 gallons pressurized water, and we can take a quick shower with it. About a 5-minute shower with low volume or low water pressure, low volume as well. And then this is just a cigarette style outlet that will charge that up, or not charge it, but will heat it up. There's a heating element down in here, and it can run for these different time intervals here. 90, 60, and 30 minutes. 60 minutes is basically the minimum for anything remotely warm unless it's summertime. And this will just go right here. So while we head off, got about 2.5 gallons here, 10 here, plus about 3 gallons of drinking water. So 12 gallons of potable water. This is kind of our water tank setup here. The master valve, that's shut off every time we start rolling here. You do have to vent the tank, so we've had a couple times where we've forgot to crack it and we're looking for pinches in the line and stuff. So that's pretty much the gist of it here with the seats folded out. And we also run a ratchet strap through the holes down in there where the baffles are. Strap it to the bottom of the seat brackets here, and it holds it really firmly against the back of the seats. And there's actually still a bit of space to store anything that's narrow between the platform and between the back of the tank here. Still a little bit of space over here as well to get maybe a pair of shoes or something behind the seat here. This hose just tucks up nicely right under here like that. And of course, the other outlet there would be connected. Looking on the other side. We still got some room here. Now this is because we don't have the seat bottom installed on this side here, and giving you a little bit of extra room here. Goes all the way through. We can just see it's super simple, folded down seat. Nothing high tech here. Beat up, ripped up, fucked up. Used all the time, and I just don't care. It's an old car, and it still works great. Actually, everything's held together. It's just scratched and dented and maybe a little dirty, but everything works. It's been great. But this is where we stack up a lot of our larger boxes or bags, or our I have a small shower kit box that's a pressurized 3-gallon box, and we can just take simple showers with it. But basically I'd have my 10-gallon water tank just positioned right between the platform and the rear of the driver's seat. But basically that's kind of the setup. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and more importantly, I got a lot more things to keep adding to it. More specifically, it's going to be for more utilitarian type things.